Two big events have occurred in the county and one more to go to kind of wrap up some things that Du Bois County MultiSport has been doing. But all of these are tied into tourism because they're bringing people into our community. Hello and welcome to WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. And joining me in the studio is Kevin Manley. Kevin is the Executive Director for the Du Bois County Visitor Center and our commission. Right. And also he is a member of the Du Bois County MultiSport organization that's been putting some events on.
Right.
And Kevin, you've had three big events, and they're big for DC MultiSport, but they're also big for tourism.
They are. The first one that we put on was the Du Bois County Youth Triathlon this year, and took place in Huntingburg. We had 70 kids that participated, and the weather wasn't the best this year, so we think this event can really grow. And actually, over half of the kids that participated were from outside of the area. We had them from Indianapolis, Seymour, Columbus, Newburgh, and Evansville, just to name a few. But this youth triathlons is a growing sport, and so we got it started in Huntingburg, and DC MultiSport is the sponsoring organization for that.
And of course that ties into tourism because that's bringing people into the community who spend dollars here.
It absolutely does. And for the youth triathlon, most of the people came in the night before that were from outside of the area and spent the day with us, and then and some even did some shopping in downtown Huntingburg. We got a lot of real positive reports that a lot of people went down there afterwards. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, Bill, with DC MultiSport, one of the things that we want to do is give back to the community. That's part of our mission. And with the Youth Triathlon, our proceeds, it was a smaller event than, say, the Heartland or the Fondo we're going to talk about in a little bit, but were able to give $500 to Mentors for Youth. That was the charity that we chose to give to. So anything that we make on these events, our mission is to give that to an organization in need that could use the money.
So then it's serving three purposes. It's good for sports,
yes.
It's good for tourism,
right.
And it's good in a philanthropic way.
Right, absolutely.
All right, now, and there will be one again next year, right?
Yes.
You know, I think sometimes you just have to do it and get people used to the concept of, for this area, a kids triathlon's a new kind of an idea.
It really is. They just really started popping up the last couple of years. So it's a new event, but more and more kids are getting involved, and we want to promote health and wellness, and we want to do it with the kids as well as adults. So it's a perfect event, and Huntingburg was a great location for it. Mm-hmm. The race setup and everything, the city was so supportive. We closed down roads to make sure that everything was safe. We had a lot of volunteers, over 50, that helped us put on the event. So we considered it to be a huge success for a first-year event.
Okay, now another, and really these events I think are old, probably ancient because it goes back to Greece, but marathons are a big deal. But half marathons have really seemed to be picking up, and you know, Jasper's in the third year for the Heartland?
Well, this was our second year.
Okay.
It was our second.
And it seemed like now half marathons get to be the cool thing to do, but Jasper's ahead a little bit with having the Heartland. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because that just occurred.
It did. Just a couple of weeks ago we had it on September the 1st, and very successful. We had 603 runners this year.
Wow. And
we had beautiful weather, a lot of support. We had over 150 volunteers that helped us with the event, and we received a lot of very positive feedback from the runners. Just how well the event was run. So it was we consider that to be very successful. And with that, we're finalizing all our expenses and coming up with our final number. But in the very near future, within the next week or two for sure, we'll be giving some money to the Philip R. Darkins Heart and Vascular Center. That's our chosen benefactor for the Heartland Half Marathon.
And it went really well. It was a great time. You know, I'm not a runner, and I can't imagine walking, much less running that long. But also, you had the 5K that went with it.
We did.
But what a great event to bring people to this area.
And actually, Bill, I haven't got the final numbers, and I wish I had all of that information for you today, but we had a larger percent of people come from outside of our area this year. We had 5 states. We had, just off the top of my head, the ones that I noticed was we had a person from Florida, from Texas, and also from Wisconsin that came to the event this year. And we ended up, we had beautiful weather. The half marathon is one of those things on some people's list, it's a bucket list item, where it's something they want to achieve. So it's an event that we have to work on. You know, we want to continue to grow that. We hope to get that up over 1,000 in the next few years and really get that event to grow.
If somebody has it on their bucket list, do they run one time and go, okay, whew, I'm done with that, I'm not going to run it anymore? Is that kind of an addictive thing that says, no, man, I love running those things?
I think there might be some cases like that, but I really believe it's really been life-changing for a lot of people. Our race director, Kenny Hoaxong, this year puts on a training program prior that goes on several weeks before the actual event. So they go through it. If you're a first-time runner for that type of event, he has it on Sunday mornings and Tuesday evenings. And a lot of those runners continue to come even after the event. So they kind of get addicted to it, and it's great. It's the camaraderie of the group, and there's been a lot of really interesting stories from it. I mean, Kenny's told me some things where people have lost 30, 40 pounds and just changed their whole lifestyle over it. So there's a lot of real positive benefits, I think, coming out of it.
And again, that's really the reason for DC MultiSport for organizing, is to make sure that sports is part of a healthy environment.
It is. We formed DC MultiSport about a year ago. Have a great board of directors that are very willing and capable to helping us to do this, because it takes the knowledge and skills and experience to be able to do these, to put on a first-class event. And we're very fortunate that we have triathletes and we have half marathon and marathoners on our board that can help us with putting these things together and make sure we put on a first-class event.
Okay, now, next weekend, there's another big event coming up. This, I guess, the third of your triathlon of events for the year, and that is the Ferdinand Folk Festival Fondo.
Yes.
Okay, now I get confused between a fondo and a fondue. Fondue is something you eat. What is a fondo?
A fondo is a fancy word for a recreational ride that is really being used a lot on the West Coast and the East Coast, and one of the members on our committee came up with the idea that let's put it in the Midwest, a recreational ride in the Midwest, so came up with the idea to call it the Fondo. So, and we decided to market this and market it with the Ferdinand Folk Fest, which last year the Ferdinand Folk Fest had over 9,000 people that attended. It's absolutely a wonderful event. And I got to give them a plug as well, because it is a magical day, a lot of great music, and a lot of activities and vendors and things there. That it's an environmentally friendly event, so cycling is environmentally friendly. So we thought we'd co-market it with that event. And this year we're going to have, on Saturday, we're showcasing Du Bois County. So we're going to have a 24, 32, and a 50-mile ride that will showcase Du Bois County. We're going to go through, one of our stops is League Stadium in Huntingburg, the Jasper Engines in Jasper, and then the St. Anthony Fire Department is kind of along our route, will be SAG stops for the event. But we're real excited about that, the opportunity to showcase Du Bois County. And then on Sunday, we're going to go down into Perry and Spencer County for a 50-mile ride and kind of showcase those areas. We want to go by the Arch Abbey and also Holiday World, so we can promote some of the assets that are in our area. And we're expecting a lot of cyclists to come in from outside of the area. We've advertised it through Bicycle Indiana. I've got flyers all over the state, and we're hoping that we have a good turnout. And a lot of that has to do with the weather. We hope the weather's good. I keep my eye on that.
Well, you know, this is an event that's probably pretty specific to people. That these are people that ride on a regular basis, because 24 miles is a pretty good distance to ride, and that's the short one. 50 miles. How long does it take to ride 24 miles? How long does it take to go 50 miles?
Well, your casual riders are going to be in probably a 10-mile-an-hour average with the SAG stops and everything, and then your better riders are going to be up in probably in the 16, 18, 20 mile. They'll maintain that for the entire distance. So the experienced riders are going to do a little bit faster.
Sure. So really, you're talking about 3, maybe 4 hours.
Right.
For somebody to go to 50 miles.
Right.
Well, it's not too bad.
Not really.
Okay. Now you said a SAG stop. You know, I know that's like a rest area, probably water and things. But what does SAG? Where does that term come from?
Well, I probably should know that, but
Okay.
it's really a rest stop. We probably should just call them rest stops, but in the cycling world and in
You got to have those terms.
It's called a sag stop. And I'm sure it means something, but I just don't know what it means. But it is a rest stop, and it's just a time when you can get off your bike for just a little bit, and we'll have food, snacks, and water, and some Gatorade and things like that to kind of refuel, to get you back out on the road.
And does all this start from the 18th Street Park in Ferdinand?
It's actually going to start from right up at the Forest Park High School.
Okay, the parking lot?
Yeah,
okay.
And it's going to finish there, but we're going to have a place at the 18th Street Park, so when the riders complete, if they want to leave their bikes there while they take in some of the Folk Fest for a while, we're going to have it in that area as well. And one other thing with it, I do want to mention that the Family Scholar House, which is something new that the monastery is working towards and going into, and really what it does, it's an educational program that helps single family parents and helps to help them with some life skills and some things that to help them get on their feet and get going, and that's our chosen benefactor for the Ferdinand Folk Fest Fondo. So we're real excited about that, and so we're going to exercise, we're going to take in a wonderful day of music, and then the proceeds are going to go to a great cause with the Family Scholar House.
And obviously if somebody wants to ride, they need to register. Do they pre-register, or can they register that morning?
They can register that morning. We also have a website for the Fondo, so they can go online for that. And we're going to put some ads in the paper, in the DuBois County Daily Herald, where they'll have an entry form that'll be in there coming up within the next few days.
Okay. And are you needing volunteers, or are you pretty well covered?
We can always use some extra volunteers. We do have volunteers that are committed to help us on this, but if anybody is interested in volunteering, all they have to do is give me a call at the Visitor Center. It's 482-9115, and let us know that you'd be interested. We can always use a couple of more, and it's just fun to help and volunteer. We had a lot of the same volunteers that came back for the Heartland this year, so that's exciting to me. That means they enjoyed their volunteer efforts and are willing to help in the future as well.
So on the morning of the Saturday the 21st and Sunday the 22nd, keep an eye out for bike riders, because cyclists will be everywhere.
They're going to be all over DuBois County on Saturday and Perry and Spencer on Sunday.
If you're going to ride on Saturday the 24 or the 36 or the 50, do you leave at different times, or is it kind of the same route, but at some point the 24 milers peel off and go a different way?
Exactly, that's exactly right. We have a 24-mile ride, and then the 32 and 50 is pretty close to the same. Just some slight detours so that we get the exact mileage, so they're back in Ferdinand at the end of those miles.
And really, I guess you're starting early in the morning.
Well, we're going to start between 8 and 9 o'clock. It's a recreational ride. It's not a race, so we don't have to have everybody lined up and a gun go off for that.
They just take off when they're ready.
They can just take off when they're ready. So we want families to come and participate because the Folk Fest is a family event, and I think they can all, when you go to an event and you're going to ride and get your exercise and get all of that in, it's a wonderful thing to have something nice to do after that, and the Folk Fest is just a wonderful event.
So when you're done, the timing will be just right.
It'll be just right to take in the Folk Fest.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for having us.
We'll have you back again.
All right. We appreciate it very much.
So next weekend is the Ferdinand Folk Festival, and as part of that is the Ferdinand Folk Festival Fondo. That is a cycling ride, a bike ride throughout DuBois and Perry and Spencer on Sunday, but DuBois on Saturday.
Right.
Get more information by going, I'm sure, to the Ferdinand Folk Festival website or the DuBois County Visitor Center website or DC MultiSport's website. A lot of people involved in this.
Yes.
There's a lot going on all the time, especially this weekend and next week in the area. Please participate in as much as you can. I'm Bill Potter, thanking Kevin Manley, who has been our guest. This is WJTS. We are local people watching local people.